guys, it's Caleb, back again with more Red Knot, and we have more Goosebumps! Yay! So today, we have R.L. Stine Goosebumps, Deep Trouble, just when you thought it was safe. I like the cover. It's very Jaws-esque. Like, there's a dude, like, he's mostly underwater, but he's got his head sticking up, and even though it's a little difficult to tell, you can see that his head's turned from where he should be looking, because if his head was turned to his right, he'd probably catch out of the corner of his eye like this giant hammerhead shark looking thing. This thing looks vicious, like it's missing its lips that should cover the gums of its mouth. Don't go in the water. Billy and his sister Sheena are visiting their Uncle Deep, Dr. Deep. That sounds like a porn name. I've been reading way too much trash. On a tiny Caribbean island. It's the perfect place to go exploring underwater. And Billy's ready for adventure. There's only one rule to remember. Stay away from the coral reefs. Still, the reefs are so beautiful, so peaceful, Billy can't resist. But Billy's about to find out what not to do with his penis later that day. Okay, I'm sorry. But he's not alone in the water. Something's lurking deep, below the surface. Something dark and scaly. Something that's half human, half fish. So it looks nothing like this thing on the cover, and it is in fact merpeople. Reader beware, you're in for a scare. Goosebumps. Also available from R.L. Stine, The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. Chapter 1. There I was, 200 feet under the sea. I was on the hunt of my life, the hunt for the great white stingray. That's what they call him at the Coast Guard headquarters, but me, I call him Joe. The giant stingray had already stung 10 swimmers. If this was true, I was going to make a tasteless joke, and then I've decided against it. People were afraid to step into the water. It's a stingray. I doubt they're really all that scary. I mean, I'm sure getting hit by one hurts like a bitch, but panic spread all up and down the coast. But that's why they sent for me. William Deep, Jr. of Baltimore, Maryland. Yes, William Deep, Jr. World-famous 12-year-old undersea explorer, I'm sure. Solver of scary ocean problems. Ha ha! 100-foot jellyfish? No problem. I can take that out with just one look of my eye. I captured the great white shark that terrorized Myrtle Beach. I proved he wasn't so great. I fought the giant octopus that ate the entire California Championship surfing team. Pretty sure that's a lie. I unplugged the electric eel that sent shockwaves all over Miami. Okay, that's not clever. That just makes me want to, like, force palm you upside the head. But now I face the fight of my life, Joe, the great white stingray. Somewhere deep down under the sea, he lurked. I had everything I needed. Scuba suit, flippers, mask, oxygen tank, and poison dart gun. Why would it need to be poison? Wait, did something move just behind that giant clown? I raised my dart gun and waited for an attack. Then suddenly my mask clouded. I couldn't breathe. I strained for breath. No air came. My oxygen tank, someone must have tampered with it. Okay, I would say why would someone do that, but hey, if they want you to, like, die while you're underwater, that's a good way to do it. I'm editing that out because, yeah, stupid criminals need to stay stupid. There was no time to lose. 200 feet down, and no air. I had to surface fast. I kicked my legs, desperately trying to pull myself to the surface. Holding my breath, my lungs about to burst. I was losing strength, getting dizzy. Would I make it? Or would I die right here, deep under the ocean? Joe the stingray's dinner. I'm not really sure what clouded your goggles. I'm pretty sure stingrays can't do that. Might be confusing that with octopus. Also, when would the stingray eat you? Granted, I'm not really sure what stingrays eat, but, pretty sure humans not on the menu. Panic swept over me like an ocean tide. I searched through the fogged mask for my diving partner. Where was she when I needed her? Finally, I spotted her swimming up at the surface near the boat. Help me! Save me! No air! I tried to tell her, waving my arms like a maniac. Finally, she noticed me. She swam toward me and dragged my dazed and limp body to the surface. I ripped off my mask and sucked in mouthful of air. "What's your problem, Aquaman?" she cried. "Did a jellyfish sting you?" My diving partner is very brave. She laughs in the face of danger. I struggled to catch my breath. No air. Someone cut off tank. Then everything went blank. Or black, in this case. Chapter 2. My diving partner shoved my head back under the water. I opened my eyes and came up sputtering. "Get real, Billy," she said. "Can't you snorkel without acting like a total jerk?" I sighed. She was no fun. My diving partner was really just my bratty sister Sheena. I was only pretending to be William Deep Jr., undersea explorer, but would it kill Sheena to go along with it just once? My name actually is William Deep Jr., but everybody calls me Billy. I'm 12. I think I mentioned that already. Because I know I'm talking to somebody reading a book. Weird how that is. Sheena is 10. She looks like me. We both have straight black hair, but mine is short and hers goes down to her shoulders. We're both skinny, both knobby knees and elbows, and long, narrow feet. We both have dark blue eyes and thick, dark eyebrows. Other than that, we're not alike at all. Sheena has no imagination. She was never afraid of monsters in her closet when she was little, and she didn't believe in Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy either. She loves to say, "There's no such thing." I dove underwater and pinched Sheena's leg. Attack of the Giant Lobster Man! "Stop it!" she screamed. She kicked me in the shoulder. Ow! I came up for air. "Hey, you two," my uncle said. "Be careful down there." My uncle stood on the deck of his Sea Lab boat, the Cassandra. Ooh, Cassandra! I did not realize she could turn into a boat as well as a cat. He peered down at Sheena and me snorkeling nearby. "My uncle's name is George Deep." Well, I wouldn't give for like a Johnson or something like that, Deep. Oh man, I would have so lolled. But then again, a parent probably would have read this and been like, "What the hell? My kid isn't supposed to be reading shit like that. What the crap?" But everybody calls him Dr. D. Considering what I know D can stand for, that's even more hilarious. Even my dad, who is his brother, calls him Dr. D. Maybe that's because he looks just the way a scientist should. Like Dr. Insano? Dr. D is short, thin, wears glasses, and a very serious, thoughtful expression. He has curly brown hair and a bald spot at the back of his head. Anyone who saw him would say, "I bet you're a scientist." Well, what if they see him out of his work clothes? Sheena and I were visiting Dr. D, or your uncle, on the Cassandra. Clearly. Every year our parents let us spend our summer vacation with Dr. D. It sure beats hanging out at home. This summer we were anchored just off a tiny island called Irlanda in the Caribbean Sea. Dr. D is a marine biologist. He specializes in tropical marine life. He studies the habits of tropical fish and looks for new kinds of ocean plants and fish that haven't been discovered yet. Thank you for giving us the rundown of what a marine biologist is. Though if you're 12 years old and reading this book, you might not know, but I would think you know what that is by now. Maybe your sister wouldn't know at age of 10, but who knows. The Cassandra is a big and sturdy boat. It is about 50 feet long. Dr. D uses most of the space for labs and research rooms. Up on deck is a cockpit where he steers the boat. He keeps a dinghy tied to the starboard or right side of the deck, and a huge glass tank on the port or left side. Sometimes Dr. D catches very big fish and keeps them temporarily in the glass tank. Why would you keep referring to your uncle as Dr. D? Why wouldn't... I don't know about other people, but I call my uncles by their first name. Whatever. Also, why would... that's just something I wonder about boats and stuff. Why do they call it port and starboard? Why not just on the left or the right? Like, anybody have can explain that to me? Like a brief history lesson of, I can't think of what the proper word usage I'm trying to go for, but like the history of how those words evolved to mean left and right side for boats and things like that. Just be interesting to learn, even though it's not really necessary. If you wonder why videos don't come out, it's because I get distracted by stuff that doesn't matter, and then I go and learn something useless. Sometimes Dr. D catches a big fish, keeps them temporarily in the glass tank, usually just long enough to tag the fish for research, or care for them if they are sick or injured. The rest of the deck is open space, good for playing catch or sunbathing. Dr. D's research takes him all over the world. He isn't married and doesn't have any kids. He says he's too busy staring at fish. Why everybody needs to know this? I don't know. Why am I sharing my personal business about relationship status and the reason for that relationship status with kids, whether they're my family or not? Who knows? But he likes kids. That's why he invites me and Sheena to visit him every summer. Stick close together, kids, Dr. D said, and don't swim off too far, especially you, Billy. He narrowed his eyes at me. That's his I mean it look. He never narrows his eyes at Sheena. There have been reports of some shark sightings in the area, he said. Sharks! Wow! I cried. Dr. D frowned at me. Billy, he said, this is serious. Don't leave the boat, and don't go near the reef. I knew he was going to say that. Clamshell Reef is a long red coral reef just a few hundred yards away from where we were anchored. I've been dying to explore it ever since we got there. Shouldn't it be here? Got there ever since we got here. I think here would be better. I don't know if saying there is proper. Don't worry about me, Dr. D, I called up to him. I won't get into trouble. Sheena muttered under her breath, yeah, right. I reached out to give her another lobster pinch, but she dove underwater. Good, said Dr. D. Now don't forget, if you see a shark fin, try not to splash around a lot. Movement will attract it. Just slowly, steadily return to the boat. We won't forget, said Sheena, who had come up behind me, splashing like crazy. I couldn't help feeling just a little bit excited. I'd always wanted to see a real live shark. Have you never been to an aquarium? Well, I don't know. I mean, if I want to head to the aquarium, I could just have to, it's, $40 to go all the way from here to Gatlinburg, go to the Ripley's Aquarium, and then maybe some other places up there in Gatlinburg, like the haunted house, maybe around Halloween. I think they do a Halloween theme thing at the aquarium. I don't know if anywhere else really does a Halloween theme. But it's probably good to go in the haunted house and, hang out. I've never actually been there on Halloween, but that is something Hushcho and I and my brother should totally do. I had a point for mentioning the Gatlinburg Aquarium, and I don't remember what it was now. Sorry. I've seen sharks at the aquarium. Okay, so you have been to the aquarium. Of course, but they were trapped in a glass tank, where they just swam around restlessly, perfectly harmless. Because you want a shark to be, pissed off and coming right at you. Are you stupid? Not very exciting. I'm sorry, anytime I see a shark or anything when I go to the aquarium, I'm pretty flippin' happy because they're awesome looking. And then you go through that tunnel where the aquarium is built over it, and then you're on a moving sidewalk, and you can just look around at, all the fish and stuff swimming around. It is so fucking awesome, and there are sharks and shit, and oh wow, it's just so cool, and it takes 10-20 minutes to go through it. It is so awesome. The next time we go to the aquarium, whenever that is, maybe we'll try to do it closer to Halloween, but I'll totally take my camera. I will totally take my camera, and I will record shit. to show you how fucking awesome that is. Or you can probably look it up online. There are probably some videos on YouTube. I wanted to spot a shark's fin on the horizon, floating over the water, closer, heading right for us. In other words, I wanted adventure. Be careful what you wish for. The Cassandra was anchored out in the ocean, a few hundred yards away from Clamshell Reef. The reef surrounded the island. Between the reef and the island stretched a beautiful lagoon. Nothing was going to stop me from exploring that lagoon, no matter what Dr. D said, because I really want to get my arm chopped off by a shark. Or maybe lose a leg, because I'm a dumbass. Come on, Billy, Sheena called, adjusting her mask. Let's check out that school of fish. She pointed to a patch of tiny ripples in the water near the bow of the boat. She slid the mouthpiece into her mouth and lowered her head into the water. I followed her to the ripples. Soon Sheena and I were surrounded by hundreds of tiny neon blue fish. Underwater, I always felt as if I were in a faraway world. Breathing through the snorkel, I can live down here with the fish and the dolphins, I thought. After a while, maybe I would grow flippers and a fin. The tiny blue fish began to swim away, and I swam with them. They were so great-looking, I didn't want them to leave me behind. Suddenly all the fish darted from view. I tried to follow, but they were too fast. They had vanished. Had something scared them away? I glanced around. Clumps of seaweed floated near the surface. Then I saw a flash of red. I floated closer, peering through the mass. A few yards ahead of me, I saw bumpy red formations, red coral. Oh no, I thought, Clamshell Reef. Dr. D told me not to swim this far, even though you just said earlier you was going to pay no mind or heed to that shit. I began to turn around. I knew I should swim back to the boat, but I was so tempted to stay and explore a little. After all, I was already here. The reef looked like a red sandcastle filled with underwater caves and tunnels. Small fish darted in and out of them. The fish were bright yellow and blue. Maybe I could swim over and explore one of those tunnels, I thought. How dangerous could it be? Suddenly I felt something brush against my leg. It tickled and set a tingle up my leg. A fish? I looked around, but I didn't see anything. Then I felt it again, a tingling against my leg. And then it clutched me. Again I turned to see what it was. Again I saw nothing. My heart began to race. I knew it was probably nothing dangerous, but I wished I could see it. I turned and started back to the boat, kicking hard, but something grabbed my right leg and held on. I froze in fear. Then I frantically kicked my leg as hard as I could. Let go of me. I couldn't see it, and I couldn't pull free. The water churned and tossed as I kicked with my strength. Overcome with terror, I lifted my head out of the water and choked out a weak cry. Help! But it was no use. Whatever it was, it kept pulling me down to the bottom of the sea. Chapter 3. Help! I cried out again. Sheena, Dr. D. I was dragged below the surface again. I felt the slimy tentacle tighten around my ankle. As I sank underwater, I turned and saw it. It loomed, huge and dark, a sea monster. Through the churning waters, it glared at me with one giant brown eye. The terrifying creature floated underwater like an enormous dark green balloon. Is it an octopus? I assume it's an octopus. Its mouth opened in a silent cry, revealing 2 rows of jagged, sharp teeth. An enormous octopus! Which I already said. But it had at least 12 tentacles. 12 long, slimy tentacles. One was wrapped around my ankle. Another slid toward me. No! My arms thrashed the water. I gulped in mouthfuls of air. I struggled to the surface, but the huge creature dragged me down again. I couldn't believe it. As I sank, scenes from my life actually flashed before my eyes. I saw my parents waving to me as I boarded the yellow school bus for my first day of school. Mom and Dad, I'll never see them again. What a way to go, I thought, killed by a sea monster, even though it's just an octopus. No one will ever believe it. Everything started to turn red. I felt dizzy, weak. But something was pulling me up to the surface, away from the tentacle monster. Which might be a good thing, considering, you're no longer referring to it as an octopus, but even some octopus drawings, yeah. We know the kind we're talking about. I opened my eyes, choking and sputtering. I stared up at Dr. D. Billy, are you all right? Dr. D studied me with concern. I coughed and nodded. I kicked my right leg. The slimy tentacle was gone. The dark creature had vanished. I heard you screaming and saw you thrashing about. I swam over from the boat as fast as I could. What happened? Dr. D had a yellow life jacket over his shoulder. He slipped a rubber lifesaver ring over my head. I floated easily now, the life ring under my arms. I had lost my flippers in the struggle. My mask and snorkel dangled around my neck. Sheena swam over and floated beside me, treading water. It grabbed my leg, I cried breathlessly. It tried to pull me under. What grabbed your leg, Billy? Asked Dr. D. I don't see anything around here. It was a sea monster, I told him. A huge one. I felt its slimy tentacle grabbing my leg. Ouch! Something pinched my toe. It's back! I shrieked in horror. Sheena popped out of the water and shook her wet hair, laughing. That was me, you dork! She cried. Billy, Billy, Dr. D muttered. You and your wild imagination. Gee, these kids and their wild imaginations. He shook his head. You nearly scared me to death. Please, don't ever do that again. Your leg probably got tangled in a piece of seaweed, that's all. But... It was a fucking octopus! And it wrapped its tentacles around me. And now it's gone, I guess. That was really weird, but I swear it was a fucking octopus. I saw it with my own eyes. But, I sputtered. He dipped his hand in the water and pulled up a handful of slimy green strings. There's seaweed everywhere, but I saw it, I shouted. I saw its tentacles, its big pointy teeth. There's no such thing as sea monsters, said Sheena, Miss Know-it-all. Let's discuss it on the boat, my uncle said, dropping the clump of seaweed back in the water. Come on, swim back with me, and stay away from the reef, swim around it. He turned around and started swimming toward the Cassandra. I saw that the sea monster had pulled me into the lagoon. The reef lay between us and the boat, but there was a break in the reef we could swim through. I followed them, thinking angry thoughts. Why didn't they believe me? Well, considering you swore it was a sea monster when you clearly said it was an octopus? Yeah, I wouldn't believe you. I had seen the creature grab my leg. It wasn't a stupid clump of seaweed. It wasn't my imagination. Then to actually tell him it was a weird-looking 12-legged octopus. I was determined to prove them wrong. I'd find that creature and show it to them myself. Someday, but not today. Now I was ready to get back to the safety of the boat. I swam up to Sheena and called, Race you to the boat. Last one there is a chocolate-covered jellyfish. Ew. I don't think that would be tasty. She cried. Sheena can't refuse a race. She started speeding toward the boat, but I caught her by the arm. Wait, I said. No fair. You're wearing flippers. Take them off. Too bad. She cried and pulled away. See you at the boat. I watched her splash away, building a good lead. She's not going to win, I decided. I stared at the reef up ahead. It would be faster just to swim over the reef. A shortcut. I turned and started to swim straight toward the red coral. Billy, get back here, Dr. D shouted. I pretended I didn't hear him. The reef loomed ahead. I was almost there. I saw Sheena splashing ahead of me. I kicked extra hard. I knew she'd never have the guts to swim over the reef. She'd swim around the end of it. I would cut through and beat her, but my arms suddenly began to ache. I wasn't used to swimming so far. Which is why would you even say that when you know you were fucking tired because your life was in danger? These characters continue to make stupid decisions. Maybe I can stop at the reef and rest my arms for a second, I thought. I reached the reef. I turned around. Sheena was swimming to the left around the reef. I figured I had a few seconds to rest. I stepped onto the red coral reef and screamed in horror. Aside from some stupid things being said, this isn't bad. You can pick this up, you can read it. I am kind of tired at this point of all the characters being about 12 years old. And maybe not even about, they're exactly 12. Could I please have some more variety? Make them 10, 11, maybe even 13, 8. That would be nice. But you can give this a read. I think you would enjoy it. So, I'm Caleb, and this has been Red Knot. Thank you for listening. Bye!